Hi, I'm Michael Kisher. Overthinking. I'm certainly guilty of it. I've got OCD. It's probably part of my DNA at this point. I think about everything. I think all the time. I overthink. Now, whether it be about one thing that I'm examining from infinite angles sometimes, angling it to the point that I feel like I'm losing my mind, I'm going out of my mind because I'm thinking about it so much, or whether it be just being bombarded by thoughts, a barrage of thoughts, all these thoughts coming randomly from seemingly out of nowhere, just there for me to look at, pick and choose, and try to navigate my way through, no matter what it is. What do you do about overthinking? Are you an overthinker? Many of us are, and it's a plague in today's society, I believe, what with all the stresses going on, and certainly with what's going on in the world today. We have all the more reason to have overthinking going on. So what do you do? What I found is beneficial for me is if I engage in something, if I occupy my mind, if I focus on something else. This is the key. I don't always do it. Sometimes I give way. I let myself be the victim of my thoughts. I let my thoughts take me and carry me away into the Neverlands, and I go nowhere. I sit on the couch and I think that by thinking, I'm going to find my way into something better. But it's not the case. More often than not, if I am able to get up and do something, force myself into something, whether it be working on a song or some other like project, or even engaging in a conversation that holds my attention, something that I'm very, very interested in, then I move away from this overthinking. I move away from being the victim of my thoughts, of my overactive mind. But it's finding that thing. It's finding what it is that's going to take me away. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a lot. Sometimes that accomplishment of that day can carry me through. You can rest on your laurels for that day of that one accomplishment that you did, whether it be composing a song in my case, or maybe you're going to go out and do some gardening, some lawn work. Maybe you're going to work on a puzzle, a craft, do some painting, whatever it is. I mean, these are the things we look to, right? To keep ourselves engaged. It's being engaged in something that's engaging. We need to occupy our thoughts, or we fall prey to our thoughts. Overthinking, not letting go. Again, I mentioned that in my previous video. Not letting go of things, holding on. I have thoughts that come in from everywhere at times, and I think, well, why am I thinking of that? Why did that occur to me? And why am I thinking of that? And then at the same time, it seems something else is coming in, and then something else, and then all the angles are being covered. I'm being basically buried in my thoughts, and that doesn't lead to anything good. So I say to you too, if that's the case, if you're an overthinker, look for those things that help you move away from your mind, that help you focus your mind rather. Use your mind in a positive way, in a way that's going to help you, that behooves you. I don't always do it. I'll admit, I'm not always that great at it. There are days that I waste. I sit around, I think about too much, and I get lost in it. I get buried in it. It doesn't do any good. It's depleting and it's defeating. And that's what it does. It doesn't lift you up to overthink. It's been said that if anyone were to examine their life extremely carefully and to go over all the things from the past and all the worries or concerns of the future, that you would be defeated, that you would be depressed. I mean, this is not something that is going to be of benefit to anyone. So you want to try to move forward, move through things. And like I said, there are days that go by that I wish I had engaged in something. And there are times when I have to be like a bulldozer, pushing myself into something. I have to get moving on something. Because if I don't, trouble can only exist. Trouble in my thinking, trouble in my mind, and sometimes trouble in my behavior. Yes, mental illness and addiction do go hand in hand at times, and I have been guilty of that myself, certainly. Guilty, maybe not the right word. I've been a victim of my mind in that sense as well. I have engaged and indulged in alcohol and marijuana. Those were the two things that were my way of closing down my senses, of numbing myself so that I could make it through my day properly. Not properly in the sense that I wasn't as worried about things. The only problem was that the day after, your obsessions can be a lot worse. Your depression can be a lot worse. You're dealing with the aftermath. You're dealing with what you did with your chemicals in your brain. You've unbalanced yourself. Now you've got to try to get back to your normal. And my normal is still to be a little obsessed, right? So I'm working my way back. But in the interim, you're thinking to yourself, I feel like crap this next day. Now, maybe you'll make it through the next day because you feel so crappy. But the following day, you're thinking, I don't want to go through this again, so back to the marijuana and alcohol. And that became a vicious cycle in my life. And it got me nowhere because nothing good ever came from those two behaviors. I was very indulgent for a period of time, and it didn't do me any good. I didn't get things done that were of any use. My spare time, if you will, when it was basically made up of getting myself numb, of self-medicating, it got me nowhere. It never does get you anywhere. So, here we are today, still trying to keep myself occupied, still trying to keep myself moving forward. How about you? How are you doing with it? Do you find something that keeps you busy? Find something that keeps you occupied? Because without it, if you are an overthinker, then more likely than not, you're in the same position that I'd be in. And that would be sitting on the couch, laying in bed, whatever that is, not getting the things done that you could get done otherwise, if you were just to force yourself. The other thing that I do that is part of the overthinking is to experience something before I actually do it. And that is also a disincentive to doing things. When you think about, I'm going to go and try to do, right now I'm doing stretching and things like that because I injured myself during a move. So I'm trying to stretch my body and do certain exercises to make myself feel good again. But if I think about it every day, if I think about that routine that I'm going to do, if I experience it in my thinking before I actually do it, I don't want to do it. So you get yourself into a whole position with that where you're thinking, I've already done the workout in my mind. Now I've got to do it and I know what to expect. It's going to be a little painful. It's going to be something I'm not really looking forward to, but something I'm going to feel great about once I do it. And it's not going to last that long, but you got to do it. And that's the thing. So this whole idea, this thing that I'm trying to do right now, this model of thought that I'm trying to propose to myself and trying to make real, is this idea of not experiencing things before I do them. Do you do that? I do it all the time. And it is another thing that can just drive you, it's just, come on, stop it. I haven't done it yet. I don't want to think about doing it. I just want to do it when the time comes. It is about living in the present, and I'll probably talk more about that in the future because that is something that's an art unto itself, and it's the way to be. But I'm far too much in the past, far too much in the future. It steals my present. But this whole idea of engaging yourself in something, in allowing yourself to be in the present with whatever you're doing and focusing your mind so that you don't overthink, whether it be overthinking about one particular thing that's been bothering you or plaguing you, or a series of things, a barrage, an onslaught of thoughts that are just driving you basically, you know what I'm talking about, or whether it be the dread or the experiencing of something before you've actually done it. These things are of no benefit, and if we can let them go, then we're going to be a lot better off for it. We can only be a lot better off for it. I mean, what could be wrong about that? The other is what's not right for us. The other is what doesn't feel natural. It's not the way to be. Sure, we got ourselves into a mode of thinking. I've been this way for most of my life. I have to try to reorient myself constantly, try to get myself to be different in the way I approach my thoughts. I'm working on it. As I said previously in my last video, I'm a work in progress. What can I say? Listen, I thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been of some benefit to you. I hope it's been a little bit motivating. I do wish you very well, and I thank you again.